Well, welcome this morning on behalf of the Premier to the 4th Annual Conference of the ACCSR. I am sorry I can't be there in person, although those of you who know me may think that that's a good thing. To kick proceedings off, however, I'd like to ask whether corporate social responsibility concepts have in fact shifted in a post-global financial crisis world. Now, some may assume that organisations would necessarily withdraw from the civic arena in a shrinking economy. Others will suggest that if the GFC has taught us anything, it's that big players in an economy can't operate in a bubble, that they must now see an even greater obligation to the community that sustains them. Across the spectrum, I guess, both suggestions are true. The vast majority of CSR commitments, however, have weathered the global financial crisis, all because their foundation had already become more sophisticated and more ingrained. Far from some feel-good donations or a greened-up logo, the recognition had grown that corporate social responsibility meant organisations acting as responsible, permanent members of a community. From direct financial help for people in crisis, such as the generous donations from the business sector to Victoria's bushfire recovery effort, through support or employment for marginalised populations to the role that medium and small enterprises can play in neighbourhoods via our community renewal program, the options remain many. As this audience well knows, what they all offer are the benefits that flow from participation: greater productivity and innovation, better employee recruitment and relationships, and ultimately a much stronger brand. In turn, what the global financial crisis offered was a more acute understanding of these benefits and a more thoughtful approach to achieving them. What I'd like to emphasise this morning, however, is that all these qualities can't simply be an add-on. Social responsibility should be core business, the primary function of every organisation that wants to succeed in a 21st century market. This then does not only mean the way that a corporation interacts with the community around it, but also how it treats and perceives its community within. It means understanding that workforce diversity, for example, is not just an exercise in box ticking or quota management, but essential, absolutely essential to productivity and innovation. It means pro bono work by legal firms, yes, but it also means equal opportunity practices within their ranks. Despite this, a Victorian study recently found that employers are still more likely to interview candidates bearing Anglo names on otherwise equivalent resumes. Meanwhile, the proportion of women to men on ASX 200 boards has been steadily diminishing. Some organisations, I've got to say, are still missing the point that they benefit as well when their staff reflect the community they serve. Happily, the upcoming ISO standard suggests a constructive horizon, acting as a potential benchmark both for government and for business for how we should build responsible business practice and a sustainable climate together. As an Attorney General, I have considerable experience, I might say, with legislative or regulatory frameworks. The Brumby Government, in fact, has its own framework for corporate responsibility, which includes Victoria's Charter of Rights and Responsibilities, our standard for all decisions made and services delivered by government. Experience has taught me, however, that such instruments alone are just not enough. That, as the Charter has shown us, their greatest power lies in effecting cultural change. Change organisations need to realise their full potential. Now, whilst I encourage you all to work towards the ISO standard, the challenge I issue today is this: do not wait for instruments to stand or fall before finding better ways of doing business. As Australia's leading practitioners and promoters of responsible business, your discussions will fuel the cultural change that must sweep through Australian business. Your business is core business. This is no radical or marginal trade you're dealing in. Social responsible business practice makes good social sense. It makes good economic sense. It makes good common sense. That's got to be good for all of us. Can I conclude by congratulating the Australian Centre for Corporate Social Responsibility for leading the charge and hosting what promises to be another thought-provoking conference. Have a great time, everyone. Just be socially responsible while you're having it.